Hi, it's Brandy, and I am back with another project share. This one is part of a YouTube hop. I will get back to that in just a second. So here I have a little birdhouse project I found in the craft section, like the kids craft section of the Dollar Tree, and I'm just figuring out my pieces and how they go together, and I pulled out a bunch of scraps. I love using my scraps on projects. I don't want to waste any of the gorgeous paper I spend my money on, so I like to use it. This is a scrap from paper pack by Graphic 45. I'm pretty sure it's the Botanicals collection. It's an older collection, but I do think they have the collector's edition of this paper collection still available. I just used each piece as a little template and cut it out. The only pieces I didn't trace were the roof pieces, just because I am going to actually make them a little bit bigger, because I'm going to turn this birdhouse into a gingerbread house ornament. So a little bit about this YouTube hop. This hop is hosted by the ladies over at the Live Art Journaling and Self-Development page on Facebook. This is a 24-day blog hop, or YouTube hop, for a bunch of inspiration throughout the holidays. Myself and a bunch of other wonderful artists and crafters here on YouTube are participating. I will have all of them at the end of the video, and there'll be a link to the Facebook group down below if you want to follow along with this YouTube hop. It's pretty cool. If you've missed days 1 through 4, I am day 5. You can go back and all of the links will be on their pinned post on their page. Here I used a scallop punch to punch out my shingle bits, and then this is what I'm using to construct my house. It's hockey tape. I got this tip from another crafter. It's really nice to be able to use hockey tape because it's kind of flexible, but it's really strong and holds really well. I also use it to assemble my mini albums and other like three-dimensional projects. I am also going to ink edge all of these. Back to the hub. We're going to jump around a little bit here. So this hub, you can follow along with all of the links and stuff on the Facebook page. There's some wonderful ladies over on that page. There's a ton of inspiration for art journaling and all sorts of crafty inspiration. So if you want to head over there, everything's down in the box. I am day 5, and I will be back another day this month with another project for this hop. So once I got all of my pieces cut and inked up, I ink because 1, I like the look, I like that distressed look, and 2, I don't love the white core of the paper, especially like pattern paper. Most of it is white core paper, so that means that like it's printed pattern on the top, but the actual base paper, like the inside of the paper, is white. Here I just took my Tim Holtz retractable piercing tool and poked a hole through this hockey tape. It is a little finicky, you kind of have to work it. I really used my pokey tool and made the hole a little bit bigger and then shoved it through, and then I used a pair of needle nose pliers just to pull it all the way through. I just used a bit of twine from my stash. I made sure that my knot wasn't in the way. This is the top of the roof. This is the only part of the roof I assembled ahead of time. The other parts I glued on once I had the base done. And I'm gonna put all my papers on each section. This is where I had to trim just like a smidgen. It was like a 1/16 of an inch I took off the edge. I'm using liquid glue. This is the Thermoweb glue. I like it. The only thing I've noticed about this glue is that if you put it on a product like Distress ink, it will reactivate that distressed ink, and it can make the glue not dry clear. It'll dry like the color of your distress ink. That's the only thing I've really noticed with this liquid glue. I'm not a usually liquid glue person. I prefer my like regular adhesives, like my double-sided tape, my ATG, my score tape. For this, to get it to stay down, because there wasn't a lot of contact points with this top bit of the roof, I just used a little bit more of that hockey tape and taped it down to the piece below. Just to give it a little bit more space to adhere and to stay. And then I added my top shingles. My shingles are just made out of a scrap of craft cardstock that I cut and used my scallop punch on. You can use any punches you have. I know I've been crafting for a while and I have quite a plethora of punches that they were huge when I first started crafting, and then they kind of faded out. And then here and there, you'll see them used again and again. But I love them. I think they're a great way to add a little bit of detail. This always do as I say, not as I do. Make sure you dry fit your pieces first before adding the glue. It's a lot easier to cut. So I wanted a little door for my gingerbread house. So I just measured the width of my front piece, measured it out with my T-square ruler, drew it out, and then I used the inside circle of my tape roll to kind of add a curve to the top of it. And then I just trimmed it out with my scissors and just dry fitted it again so that I knew I did it right. And then I'm going to put it through this brick embossing folder, and then I'm going to ink it up. This is aged mahogany. The distress ink I used to ink up all my edges was gathered twigs. And then I'm just going to glue this on. And then I'm going to start stamping. So I have this gingerbread stamp set from Kindred Stamps. It's a little nerdy nod to gingerbreads. And so this stamp came out for, I think, National Gingerbread Cookie Day. It was one of their wacky stamps. I'm just going to use my zigs to color this. I am coloring on a scrap of Bristol Smooth cardstock, which is my favorite cardstock to color on. And I'm just going to use like simple like 2 to 3 color blends. When I have two colors that are pretty far apart, like I'm using a dark gray and a light gray here, I'll scribble on the back side of my acrylic block and pick it up with my light color so I can blend a little bit of the dark into the light. And I'm just making his little dark gray outfit. And I'm just going to color in here. When I have really teeny tiny spots like around his waistband and like little details, his tie and stuff, I just do a single color. There's no need to blend it out. And then as I move into his hair, I am going to give it a little texture. I think it's just all my years of coloring. I can't color hair without texture, even though this is a cookie and it would probably be a little bit more smooth frosting wise. I added texture. You can kind of color it however you want. That's the wonderful thing about making your own pieces, is it can be the way you like it. I just do little like brush strokes. I really like these Zig pens. They are a water-based pen and they blend really nicely as long as you're using the right paper. And I find that the big game changer for me was when they came out with the blender pen. I just really like that. It's just clear and it helps blend out the colors. You can also use just like a water brush to help blend out because these are water-based markers. And then I'm going to fussy cut it out. You'll notice I switch between these orange scissors and the gray scissors. They're the same scissors. One I use for like my messy cutting, so like when I'm cutting tape or anything sticky or messy or things like that are thicker that I shouldn't be cutting with my scissors, like bits of wire and stuff like that. I beat on my gray ones. My orange ones are specifically for paper and doing like my ribbons and stuff. They're a lot sharper, and I don't do things that are going to dull them out with those. A tip that I really love is when you're coloring an image and you're using it as like a fussy cut image, to take a marker and run along the edges so you don't see that white color, so it looks like you cut it out perfectly. Here I'm just using a brown Tombow marker. You can use any marker you want. Just remember you want a water-based marker and not an alcohol-based marker, because the alcohol-based marker will seep into your image. And then I used a little bit of foam tape to pop my little character up, and I found some ribbon to match to make a bow. I just made a quick like double looped bow. It's a simple bow. I make these all the time, mostly because I'm a dog groomer, and this is the type of bow I use to make ear bows. And then I'm going to add another piece to the center to tie it all around and tie it all together. You can use your like your tweezers to help hold that if you need extra sets of hands. And then I'm just going to tie this onto my string, and I don't think I showed it on camera, but I did add a dot of my glue to keep that bow in place. And then I'm going to steal this stamp set from Kindred Stamps. This is the Arcade Friends, and I'm just going to steal the gumdrop out of it. I'm going to stamp it in fossilized amber and the aged mahogany because they match the colors of my gingerbread house, and I'm going to do a quick 2-color blend on my little gumdrops here. I'm doing like a golden rod, like yellow, and then I'm going to do like that deep maroonish red for my gumdrops. And I am going to fussy cut all of these gumdrops out. I show you a couple on camera, and then I'm not going to lie, I did the rest off camera and sat and watched a YouTube video while I fussy cut out. These are really simple shapes. If you have a scan and cut, you could run it right through there. Or if you have any other like electronic cutting machine, most of like either stamp sets come with like the files to do it. I don't have any of those fancy machines. I just have my hands and my scissors. So that's what I use. Use what you got. Once I am done coloring all of these guys up, I am going to move on to cutting them, and then once they are all cut out, I am going to use them to decorate the outside of my gingerbread house. Oh, I did do, because I don't like the white core of the paper, I did take that same brown Tombow marker and go around the outside. And then I'm just using a small dab of my thermal web glue to put these on, and I'm going to go on 3 of the 4 sizes. I'm not going to put these on the front of mine because I have some other things I want to put on the front. I hope you guys enjoy this little ornament that I've created. You can do this in any theme. I happen to be a nerd and we have a nerd themed Christmas tree, so that's what I did. But you could do this with, if you are a dog or cat person. There are a ton of stamp sets, and it doesn't have to be a Christmas set to be able to make it something for the holidays. Use what you have. Don't go out and buy anything new. Here I'm going to make a little sentiment to go on the back, and I just pulled this right out of the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it in the Blackout ink by Ink on 3. I just really like this ink. It's nice and deep dark, like a deep black. I also like it because it is Copic safe and watercolor safe, so I can use it with my zigs, I can use it with my color pencils, I can use it with my Copics, and I like a all-for-one kind of thing. I did cut a little flag end on both sides of this, and then I'm just going to glue it right on the top, and it just says "Have a Magical Christmas." Oh, I did ink it because I ink everything. But use what you have as far as your stamps. You can make your little gingerbread house any theme you want. You could make a snowman, you could pick a color theme, you could do fairies, you could, you know, have fun. I wanted to add a little detail on mine to add it. You'll notice in the final pictures on my blog are a little bit different. It's because I tried to move. Once I got to the end after putting this on, I pulled out 2 more little accessories from my stamp set, and I'm going to stamp them and color them. But this little circle changes because I tried to move it after I glued it down and it didn't work, and so I had to make a new one. And then I'm going to color my little broomstick and add these the little simple details just to kind of tie everything all together. And again, I'm just doing simple 2 color blends, nothing too crazy. All of my zig colors will be linked on my blog down below. I will put that link if you want to go check out the blog. That way you can see what colors I used. But use what you have. Don't go out and buy things just because I have them. I have been crafting for years, and I have collected quite a hoard of craft supplies, so I always tell people use what you have because that's what's fun. And I kept it really simple with my coloring. I kept it darker towards the bottom of the broomstick, and or the broom like bristles, and then went lighter, and then on the broom handle I just picked the left side to make my dark shadow side, and then the right side I kept light. And again, I went around these with my my pen to keep that white core. This is a little bit of white shimmer paper, and I'm again using my Fiskars scallop punch. I wanted to add a little bit of snow to the edges of my roof and stuff, so I just cut out a long like 12-inch piece, and I think this is like less than an inch wide, and then I punched it out. And then because I didn't think of this beforehand, I have to trace because I want those scallops to line up, and then because I didn't want that straight flat edge, I just quickly cut like a squiggly line. It's really just a squiggly line. And then I'm going to glue this on every edge of the roof, and I'm going to add another piece to the front of the roof so that there's a little bit. I decided not to do it on the back because I didn't want it to block my sentiment. But if you think ahead of time, unlike me, you can position your sentiment so that it doesn't get blocked by the snow. And then and then I had a little piece of like the roof that was like hanging over from the craft colored cardstock, so I'm just going to trim that out. And then once you get it all glued together, this is my final ornament. I hope you enjoyed, and right at the end of here is going to be a list of all of the other people that are contributing to this hop. I hope you go check them out. Links will be down below. Thank you, and I will see you soon.